So we're continuing in Likutei Sichos Aleph of the Rebbe, and we're talking about Yutet Kislev, which is going to be next week, and its connection to Parshat Vayishlach. So he explained something that happened when the Alter Rebbe, when the first Rebbe of Chabad, he was the one that was, what happened to Yutet Kislev? The first Rebbe of Chabad had been imprisoned on false charges by people, religious people, who opposed the whole Chassidic idea and the goal of Chassidut, to bring Mashiach by means of explaining the essence of the Torah, like we learned in the morning. And miraculously, the Rebbe got out. He was released. The Russian guards and the Russian officials and the Russian interrogators, they realized that he was a very holy person. They realized that they had absolutely no way of understanding who he was, but they understood that he for sure was not guilty of anything bad, and they let him. They released him. This was like in 1798.
They had him interrogated by someone who was an expert.
Right. That's what we learned yesterday. He was an expert in Tanakh, and he asked him, why did God ask Adam, where are you, after he ate from the tree? And he explained, because God is talking to everybody. And this is you he's talking, etc. So everybody should know that they are being asked by God, where are you? And that also empowers you. It gives you power, because you know that God is really interested in you, and he wants to help you, and he will aid you to find your true, unique purpose in life. Good. Yud Zayin. And that was all released on Yutet Kislev. Yud Zayin. Yud Zayin, over there on the other side of the page. So if we remember, we started this speech of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said that the month of Kislev is the month of when the Torah was given. Wait a minute, the Torah was given in the month of Sivan. 3 months after Passover, the Torah was given. It says, how can you say that Kislev is the year the Torah was given? It says that this was in Sivan, the revealed Torah was given. And inside of it contained all the secrets and etc., but that wasn't revealed. And Yutet Kislev, which is like 3,000 years later, it was revealed. And that's Yutet Kislev, is the giving of the secrets of the Torah. It says, Keib and Yud Zayin. Keib and Shechodesh Kislev, since the month of Kislev is the time of the Gilui Inyan Chadash B'Torah, it reveals a new facet of the Torah, namely Pnimiyut the Torah, the inside of the Torah. Yesh bo gam Gilui Inyan Chadash B'Olam, there is also, it has an effect on the world, because the whole essence of the Torah is to change the world. The essence of the Torah is to teach man what is good and what is bad, and that people should avoid bad and they should do good, which sometimes it means define your own personality. And that's what will improve the world. Says the Rebbe, but a lot of times people might lack enthusiasm and meaning. It says that's what's called the inside of the Torah, the soul of the Torah. The soul of the Torah was truly revealed on Yutet Kislev, the soul. So that has an effect on the world. When the soul is revealed, there's a new effect on the physical world, and that is miracles. A new type of miracles, we'll see. But Torah Chassidic and Torah Chassidic, Mavur has explained Yafeh very well in Yanishal Nisan what miracles are. Lamito Shal Davar, the fact of the matter is, Gam, also, Hahan Haga, TVs, also nature is a miracle. Nature itself is a miracle. Ella Shekivan Shehi Tadira, but because nature is constant and it goes according to laws of nature, as in Nikar Bo'anes, you can't notice how miraculous everything is because it's sort of predictable. Nature is predictable, so it's no big nace. A nace, a miracle, is something that you weren't expecting. It's something out of nature. It's outside of nature. And it's a thing that's totally unexpected. You can't explain how it happened. Right? Either it happened by, sorcery, or maybe it was just an illusion. But if you want to say that it really happened, for instance, the splitting of the Yam Suf, the splitting of they call it the Red Sea, Sea of Reeds, whatever. The splitting, and that was a miracle. All of a sudden the Jews were there, and they couldn't get over, and the sea split, and they let the Jews through. And as soon as all the Jews got out, by the way, it says in the Midrash that the Jews really didn't cross over. They just went into the river, and they made this huge U-turn, and they come like a couple miles down. However it was, the sea split, let the Jews through. The Egyptians chased after them, and all of a sudden it closed down on the Egyptians. You can't explain that. How are you going to explain it? Right? It was done by means of gravity, of suction cups, of some sort of miraculous laser beams. There's no way of explaining it. So that's called a miracle. So the same thing is really, the fact is the nature is also a miracle. If every day the Jews went down to Yam Suf and they stood in this place and the sea split, so if it happened enough times, nobody would say it's a miracle. It's just an unexplainable freak of nature, right? Something in nature, like the Bermuda Triangle or something like that. Right? People say it always happens. I don't know if the Bermuda Triangle always happens, but it always happens. That's just the way things are. The splitting of the sea, one time. God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai, one-time thing. That's called a miracle. But the fact of the matter is that all of nature is a miracle. The whole entire creation is a miracle. But we don't feel it because it's constant. Because it's constant, ain't nikar, but you can't notice that it's a miracle. Until it is very possible, likely, that the people will make a mistake. Sheyesh bira lelo manhig, that this whole world is like a big country that has no ruler. And there's the country, just like how they say, like people say Darwin said, I don't, even though he didn't really say it 100%, but he postulated that the world really just came from evolution. Originally there was protozoas, and they developed into tadpoles, they developed into frogs, and they developed into apes, and there was dogs somewhere in there, and then they developed into human beings, and human beings developed into Knesset members, and the Knesset members they developed into the apes, and then it just kept going on. Anyway, everything just comes from something else, and that there's this thing as something coming from nothing. It can't be. So there you can think the world works according to nature. After that was real, a miracle, that goes out of the natural laws of nature. Notzer Gilui Chadash is a new thing. And that's what Chassidut did. What did Chassidut did? Like we learned in the morning. The revelation of Chassidut, Yotet Kislev, revealed that the whole entire world, constantly, every moment, in fact, the moments themselves are miracles. Just the whole idea that there's such a thing as time is brand new every single instant. Everything is being created. The whole world is this incredible miracle. Don't get used to it. Right? The whole world is a big surprise. Mishum kach, Chodesh Kislev, the month of Kislev, Heinu Chodesh Shel Nissan, it's the month of miracles, because in Kislev was revealed this fact that God is creating the world all the time. So therefore, the whole month, there was real miracles that happened in the month. B'chodesh zeh shor hari gilui chadash b'Torah. First of all, there's a new revelation in the Torah. Given since it says that God looked into the Torah and He created the world, is nimshach hadavar, because there's something new in the Torah. In other words, revealed the true essence and the soul of the Torah, which puts a new life into the learning of Torah, into the commandments, and everything Jewish that we do. As therefore, this is drawn also in how the world works. Al Yadei Gilui Chadash Shu Zman Shel Nisan. It's the month. It's the month that there are miracles. And really, the fact is, it is miracles. If you begin at the end of the month is Chanukah. Pretty big miracles over there. Chanukah, maybe one of the biggest miracles I read. Somebody sent me The miracle of Hanukkah is not that the lights lasted for 8 days; it lasted for over 2,500 years. Years. But even more, if you look, I mean, who keeps Hanukkah? Who observes Hanukkah? Who lights these Hanukkah candles? Everybody. The most non-religious, anti-religious Jews, right? You find that they light Hanukkah candles in their house. They do it for their kids. They do it. They put a Hanukkah candles, and they also put a Hanukkah bush or something, so that it'll be something like, like Christmas. So the kids won't feel disappointed. But still, people light Hanukkah. You light Hanukkah candles. Everybody's, you know what the holiday of Hanukkah is? It's probably the most, fanatically, based on the most fanatically religious bunch of zealots, right? The super, ultra Orthodox zealots, that there's never been such a thing in the history of the world, maybe. Who knows, right? These were a bunch of fellows. The whole Jewish people were getting along really good with the Greeks. The Greeks were not a barbaric, animalistic world, nation like the Romans. The Romans just came in and slaughtered everybody and killed everyone. The Greeks were fun-loving, right, cultured people. They were also good warriors, but they took over the world in the name of culture, something like Napoleon did, right? The Greeks said there was very the art, and there still exists today. I think some of the art of Greece. There exists such a thing. I don't know. Anyway, there's there's known of the philosophies for sure exist, and the plays, the Greek plays and the tragedies, and for sure they exist. And there's such a cultured people, cultured people. Maybe there was never such a people. The Greeks were so cultured. So the Jews got along with them really good. The Jews really worked in, very, very well with them. All of a sudden stands up, says 13 Mishugoyim, and they took knives and swords. This is not a political thing where they stand up in the Knesset of the United Nations. They took swords and they went and they started killing Greeks. And who were they killing? They were killing trained soldiers. And they made a war. I mean, that's insane, right? And eventually they succeeded in drawing other Jews to be fanatic like them, and they won. Pretty amazing. And then they went into the temple, and there was a lot of oil. The Greeks were not, like I say, they weren't destructive people. They didn't destroy the temple. The Romans did that, like 200 years later. And they didn't destroy the menorah or break anything. They didn't take everything and put it into exile, like the pictures of the Shara, the Victory Gate, whatever is in Rome. They didn't pour out the oil. They left the oil there. They just defiled it. They touched it. They opened the bottles. Different opinions what they did. But nevertheless, they definitely did not pour out the oil. And the Jews came in there, and there was enough oil to last for years. Who knows how long? But they said, no, we're going to look for one bottle. If we're going to be crazy, let's go crazy all the way. We're going to look for one bottle that was not touched by the Greeks for sure. Only that bottle are we going to use. And all the other Jews said, let's go for it. We'll do it. And it worked. It lasted for 8 days. If it would have gone out, they had other oil. And according to the letter of the law, it was permissible for them to use that other oil. It was a desperate situation. Right? The only reason they couldn't use it was, it says, Tuma Hutra Betzibur. They were allowed to use that other oil. But they decided not to do it. Right? So the miracle wasn't such a big miracle. Come on. They had a lot of oil. It wasn't that desperate. What was desperate was they didn't have any totally pure oil. Now we're lighting the candles. That's what kept this miracle of Hanukkah going 2,500 years, 2,300 years, how long it was. The Jews have been lighting these Hanukkah candles. It's pretty amazing, right? And it says if so, that is a big, huge miracle that happened in the holiday of Hanukkah. Not only that we defeated the Greeks, and not only that the lights lighted for 8 days, but the lights lighted for 2,500 years, despite the fact that it was a super, ultra Orthodox holiday, right? A victory, and it was a blood holiday. I mean, they really sat and they killed a lot of people. It's not like actually Pesach also a lot of people were killed, but that was a side thing. That was a side thing on Pesach. They didn't have to kill all the Egyptians. They could have just given them all, put them to sleep, give them hemorrhoids or something. They could have done something else so that the Greeks would not run after the Jews. Here, that the Egyptians wouldn't run after the Jews. Stop pursuing them. But here the Jews were right in the midst of, they took up swords and they started killing them. It was a major part of the holiday, right? That they won this amazing victory. Therefore, Ira b'chodesh Kislev Nes of Chanukah, the miracle of oil. Hamasamel Razin, that's the oil, like we're going to learn in this Maimon in the morning. So oil represents the secrets of secrets. Shu Gilui Nalabiyota, which is the highest possible revelations. Kafisha Ramban Kotev, like the Ramban writes in the name of the Midrash. Shakodesh Baruch Hu Amar LaAharon, the Kodesh Baruch Hu said to Aharon, Shelcha Gedola Mishalahem. Aaron saw that everyone was bringing sacrifices to the tabernacle when it was built in the desert, in the Nisi'im. They brought their inauguration sacrifices, and Aaron didn't bring anything. God didn't tell the tribe of Levi to bring anything. Joseph was divided into two, Ephraim and Manasseh. They brought in the place of Levi, so Levi didn't get a chance to bring. So Aaron felt really bad. Hey, he wants to bring some sacrifices to the inauguration. He wants to have his day also. Every tribe got their day. God said, don't worry about it. Shalcha Gedola Mishalahem. Your sacrifice is going to be greater than theirs. What is it? You're going to light the menorah. And from that is going to come the Nerot Chanukah. And Bedarga Nalit, they are higher than the lights of the Beis Hamikdash. Ki, Neros Hamikdash, the lights of the Beis Hamikdash will not be there forever. The Nerot Chanukah and the lights of Chanukah will last forever. Even though in the time, when the temple is rebuilt, of course, there'll be the menorah, will be relit. But now there is no Beit HaMikdash, so there's no menorah. Right? Wrong. There is the lights of Chanukah that everyone lights everywhere. And you don't have to light them in the holy places. You can light them even in non-holy places. You can light them even in the street. Right? And there's more lights. There's 8 lights in the Holy Temple. There was only 7. And there's other also good things which we'll learn about. And that's the miracle of Yutet Kislev. An addition that came right, even though it came thousands of years after the Chanukah, the miracle of Chanukah, but nevertheless the miracle of, it's happened in the same month, Kislev, Yutes Kislev, and we celebrated right before Chanukah, B'hafatzat Torah Chassidut, spreading out the teachings of Chassidut. And by the way, any of you listeners that do not know what Chassidut is, go to your local Chabad house, look it up, and see what is Chassidut. Chassidut Chabad. Now I guess you can even look it up in Google. It'll come to you. You don't have to go to it. This exists forever and ever. The Torah of Chassidut also. Shken hafatzat mayanot Chassidut because spreading out the teachings of Chassidut, this is a vessel and a catalyst to bring the Mashiach. So that's the month of Kislev. The month of Kislev is the third month after, it's the third month after Tishrei, and it's revealed the inner secrets of the Torah, which is connected to Tishrei, which is work, serving Hashem from below to above. Therefore, in the month of Kislev are inside secret miracles. I mean, a person can also look at Chanukah, what happened on Chanukah, and say it wasn't such a big miracle. It wasn't such a big deal, right? It happened to be maybe the molecular makeup of the oil changed, and also the people really wanted, and then it's a known thing that if people really want something, that your vibes can change the reality of the world. But God has nothing to do with the picture. A person wants something really badly, and it happens to him, what is called destiny or your karma or your whatever it's called, dharma or something like that. And your sonic soul vibrations. Move your nose, you can do whatever you want to. it changed to a rain dance. You know, you rain dance, and I think in China when there was an eclipse, they would go and bang pots and pans, that's what they say. And it would stop and it would work. So, you know, you don't have to bring really God into the whole picture. You can, because these were hidden miracles. These were concealed miracles. They were.
It's not a concealed miracle.
What? Hanukkah?
Well, you once said that Hanukkah was concealed because nobody really saw the menorah because it was inside the temple. But still didn't.
No. First of all, nobody saw the menorah. Also, what happened? They won. You remember there was this movie. I don't know if you ever saw the movie. I remember a long time ago. It was a very good movie called The Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
It was this famous movie, and there was this town where they were being attacked by bandits, hundreds of bandits. And these were simple people. They didn't know what to do. So they got these samurai to come and to protect them. And they did. And ended up that they won. A couple of them got killed, but it ended they defeated all these. So it was the same thing in Purim, in Hanukkah. What happened? There was a bunch of Maccabees. These people, they saw what was going on. They got inspired. So they trained a little bit, and then ended up that they were much better at fighting than they thought they were. And when everybody saw their tremendous bravery, so they jumped in also and joined in, and there was a political victory. You know, they stood up and they made a war, and it was like, you know, the resistance in France or something like that. You know, eventually they made a war, and after they got their freedom, so like in France, they made de Gaulle, he was the head.
People don't celebrate the fighting.
Right? Oh, so they don't celebrate the fighting. So what do they celebrate? They celebrate the lights. Why don't they celebrate the fighting? Because Jews don't want to be considered to be Israelis anyway, an offensive nation. They don't want to be the attackers. So we sort of hid that part about the war, and we're just trying to cover it up by bringing it. I mean, they do it all the time now, where they cover up the 6-Day War, they cover up this. So they covered it up. And now the lights were lit for that. Listen, between me and you, who knows that there wasn't some coin that came in there and filled these cups up in the nighttime, huh? I mean, nobody saw the menorah. The menorah was inside of the holy. Not everyone was sitting. There weren't newspaper reporters. There weren't surveillance cameras, right? So maybe they went and they filled up the cups in the nighttime, and they said it's a big miracle, huh? Could be. But nobody says that. And the fact is no one says the thing about the victory of the war either. Right? What do they say? It was a miracle. How do the Jews answer that? So big deal, it was a miracle. God can do what he wants. It's a miracle. You got to get excited about a miracle. It's a miracle. Anything not to get excited. But the fact is that it not only is it excited what happened then, but it's excited what happens now. Jews light the candles of Hanukkah, and they feel something. They feel something. It's not necessarily they feel a pride that they're Jewish or a pride. They don't know. They feel something. There's light there. Something you can't understand, you know. I mean, why does light push away darkness? You can figure maybe according to science or something like that, but it's pretty miraculous if you think about it. Light pushes away darkness, and your eyes recognize this fact that the light pushes away the darkness, right? Your eyes see it, and therefore, because of that, your eyes are able to see other things. The whole idea of seeing and light is not just a miracle. Everything's a miracle, but this is a miracle of a miracle.
You never see darkness push away light.
Right, 100%. 100%. You can't, okay. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. That's what it is. Darkness sometimes can, discourage the light. It can disparage the light, right? You can have a person wants to turn on the light, and somebody takes his finger away, you don't let you turn on the light. Okay, could be a thing like that. But once that light gets turned on, the darkness is pushed away. I think I told you, I don't know, I saw once an interview with Ray Charles. You know Ray Charles? Ray Charles is a famous blind. He was singer and composer and this. And they asked him if he was blind. They asked him if he would like to be able to see. So he said, well, I'll tell you. If I'm not mistaken, I even saw a video. They said, well, I would like to be able to see for an hour. For 1 hour. That's enough. He said, I get along in the world fine without seeing. He used to be able to see when he was a little boy, when he was a boy up to 10 or something. You could see he got some sort of a disease. They couldn't take care of it. So he said, maybe an hour just that I could see, for a little bit, just to see my family, my children, or this and that, just to see what they look like. And that's enough. That's enough. And he already got an idea. He was a very deep person also. He was a very, very interesting, very deep person. So he said, he already loves these people. He already knows who the people, at least that's how I understand it. He knows these people. He already loves them. He can already recognize them from their voices. And he goes, this, but it would be nice, like the frosting on the cake, if you could just see them. See them 1 hour. 1 hour is good enough. So the sight is really, it's really an incredible thing. It adds something on to a person that can't be explained. Can't be explained. But, okay, so, we could do without it. Yeah, you really could do without it? You think so? I don't think so. You couldn't see a light. It says a person that's blind is like he's dead. Chanukah is the holiday of light. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. Even just a little bit of light. Even just to see for 1 hour. That's also good. Okay, let's continue. Okay, if you want to, we can go and do a little bit of Parshas Vayishlach and Chanukah.
Yeah.
Chanukah. Next week is going to be Yud Kislev, but the week after that is going to be the holiday of Chanukah. It's coming up. Okay, next week's Parsha is Vayeshev. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz Megurei Aviv be'eretz Canaan. On that pasuk, Mefarish Magid Memezrich, the Magid of Memezrich says, Vayeshev Yaakov. Yaakov set his dwelling in Be'oretz. What does it mean, Be'oretz? Ba'artziot, in mundane things. Who says this? The Magid of Mezrich. What does the sentence say? Let's look at the sentence again. Vayeshev Yaakov ve'eretz Megurei Aviv be'eretz Canaan. Yaakov, simple meaning. Yaakov sat in the land of the dwellings of his father, namely in the land of Canaan. Yitzchak, his whole life was only in Canaan. Yitzchak didn't go outside of Israel. So Yaakov, Yitzchak's son, he also lived in the land where his father lived, Megurei Aviv, be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. It says, why does it say Eretz Canaan? Because it says that the Magid of Mezrich is the pupil of the Baal Shem Tov. He said, Vayeshev Yaakov Kava Moshav, Yaakov set his dwelling be'eretz, in the earth. What does it mean in the earth? Be'eretz Canaan. What does it say Eretz Canaan? It could just say Canaan. Be'artzod. Yaakov wanted to live in a very mundane, physical place. Madua, why? Kadei lelaket migurei, in order to gather. Migurei, la'agor, means to gather things together. Milashin agur kayetz, like it says that ants gather up their food, whatever, in the summer, so that they'll have it in the winter. Migurei means the place of the land, living of his father, where his father lived, but mugurei also means gathering. Why did he live in the earth, in the lower places, in mundane places? Why? Because he wanted to gather together at the nitzutzot kedusha, the sparks of holiness, hanimtzaim, which are found, b'davarim gashmim, in physical things, v'la'alotam, and to elevate them, el aviv shabashamayim, to his father in heaven. So that's what it means, megurei aviv. Yaakov lived be'eretz. What does it say? Let's look at the sentence again. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz. Yaakov lived in the earth. What does it mean in the earth? In physical, low things. Physical. He was a mundane and physical in the world. Migurei, in order to gather the sparks together. Aviv, for his father in heaven. That's what the Magid of Mezrich says.
It says to gather, not to raise.
Megurei means to gather. Megurei means to live. The simple meaning of Megurei means to live. The word Megurei also means to be afraid. There's other places they make a use of that, but not now. So in other words, what does it mean? The simple meaning, like I told you, the pshat, right, is that Yaakov lived where his father lived, right? The Chassidic meaning is that Yaakov lived in the land in the mundane things of the gathering together for his Father in heaven. He wanted to gather together. Well, let's see what this is. Even though the fact that living in the mundane, occupying yourself with mundane things, physical things, this is a big confusion, it's a big descent for the soul. This is only temporary. And only by means of this, the soul coming into the body and being in the physical world, and a person making also a decision, also to deal with the physical world. Only by this can you reach an addition and an elevation that the soul itself could not attain before it came into the world. That's what it means be'eretz Canaan. Canaan means a salesman, a businessman. Like it says, there will not be any businessmen in the house of God. We had that last week, I think, in the Haftorah. How does business work? In the beginning, you lose your money, you invest it. Right? How does a businessman work? You open up a store, you borrow money, you buy stock. You buy $100,000 worth of stock. What have you got? You lost. If the stock doesn't go, you're in bad shape, right? You can return it. Maybe it's a little bit old. Maybe you can't return it. In other words, you have to invest. You have to endanger yourself a little bit, take a risk. And according to that risk, you can make a big profit. In the beginning, you invest money in order to make a profit afterwards. Like it says, Yesh mefazer v'nosavod. Like it says, there are sometimes a person can, it's in Proverbs, you can spend, and by means of giving away, you actually receive more. What can we learn from this? What's the point over here? Ein liyehudi l'tor acharei davarim na'alim davka. A Jew does not have to pursue only spiritual things. Right? It's a wonderful thing to finish the Shas, to sit and learn Torah all day long, to pray, daven. In Chassidic, Chabad especially, they made a thing about praying long. Even though there's not that many, but he has to be genuine. To pray long, not just to take a long time and say the words and say every word 3 times or something like that. To think about what the words mean. And because of that, it takes a long time. You think about one word, you can think all day, right? You start off the davening. Hodu l'Hashem kiru v'shemo. What does it mean, Hodu l'Hashem kiru? What does the word Hodu mean? To pray is to surrender yourself to God. Surrender yourself to God. Am I surrendering myself to God? What is God? What am I? You can think you can think for hours about one word, right? Because it starts to get personal. Yeah? They're making a trip, but it's personal. So a person can learn Chassidus for like 3 hours in the morning. And then he prays for another 3 hours. And then after that, he takes a little snack or something like that, and he rests up, and then he learns Torah until 6 o'clock in the evening. This is wonderful. Then he eats a little something, and then after that he has chavrusas. He learns with this person, learns with that person. And then he's really tired, and then he goes to sleep. And so he wakes up in the morning. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful life. Sitting and learning Torah, praying, doing wonderful things. Says the Rebbe.
When does he go and do the mitzvahs?
Says the Rebbe, oh, no, in the middle of the day, he puts on tefillin before he prays. Says the Rebbe, this is very wonderful, this is very good, but a Jew should not limit himself to that type of service. Some people can do it, that's all you can do. Some people do it. Says the Rebbe, I don't agree. Every Jew has to be levorer in order to purify and refine the world, to raise up the sparks of holiness which are not found in the Torah and they're not found in your tefillin, they're found in physical things in the world. Like you said, you stand up and give your seat for somebody in the bus. This could be worth more than all the learning of the Torah. You don't know. It oppresses people, and people say, "Oh, this is a Jew is a good thing, and a religious Jew, this is wonderful. I'm going to see how he does that." Learn.
See somebody drop something, give it back.
Give it back to them, yeah. Ma matura, what is it? What's the benefit of going and working in the world? Come on, let's just sit in the world is a big distraction. You got to get away from the world. Oh, if you do that, then you really made it. Going into Noah's Ark, that's really good. Says the Rebbe, you're right, it is really good, but there's something much, much better. Something much better. What is the purpose of doing this, going into the world and working in the world according to what the Torah says? Aviv, his father. Bishvil Aviv b'shamayim, you're doing it everything for the sake of your father in heaven. Yisrael nimshalu l'dvura. The Jewish people are compared to a bee. Bee. Ma dvura, just like a bee. Kol ma shem misagelet. Ena misagelet ela labalabayit. Just like a bee. Everything that it makes, it creates. It only does it just for the owner, right? For the owner. Honey. Bees don't eat their own honey, or maybe a little bit, I don't know. Kach, Yisrael, also the Jewish people, kol masha osim hu lavim shebeshamayim. Everything that they do is for the owner, for God, their Father in heaven. Lo avod almanas l'kabel pras. They're not working in order to receive rewards. But gashmis of ruchnis, ki im kol avodat tzorich lios laviv shamayim. Everything they do has to be for their Father in heaven. Huh? In order to reach the level, so lo yitarvu ba'avoda zu pnius, so that there shouldn't, you want to purify yourself, purify the world, do everything you do for the sake of your Creator, for God. It's wonderful, but in order that you should be able to actually do this without any ulterior motives creeping in, this is only by means of simple things. This is like what the Rebbe said before, that Yaakov, when he went to Haran, as he surrounded his head with rocks, remember? Where it says the rocks is serving God simply, without thinking. Right? You think God exists, God is good, I'm going to do what he says. You start trying to understand things, you think all of a sudden you start to think that you're God. It's good to understand things, but you have to understand things because God wants you to understand things, not because you understand. God wants you to use your mind to understand things. If you don't understand, okay, you tried, you did the best thing right.
To the best of your ability.
If a person only works in understanding and grasping, then there can be ulterior motives. In order that your service should be clean, lo penios, without any ulterior motives. It has to be by means of doing simple things. Very common. You can see a person who's a big Talmid Chacham, he knows Torah, he knows everything, and somebody else knows better than him. Boy, he wrecks the whole guy's life. Wrecks his whole life. This person knows better than me. How can it be? Every time he opens his mouth, he just hates him. Arrows are coming out of his mouth, right? He just says something, not like my esteemed colleague said, but it happens to be a Tosfos and Kedushin that completely knocks down everything. He says, I'm going to get him. He's sitting there smiling. Yes, I'm so happy to hear. Right?
Honestly, I don't know anybody like that.
Right? Yeah.
I'm lucky.
There are people, they say that Rabbi Moshe Feinstein was an outstanding example, true example of humility. Right? If somebody contradicted what he said or whatever he had, was calm, listened to what he said, it didn't take anything personally. You could call him names, you could call him whatever he wanted. It didn't take it personally. It wasn't, his honor or his this or that. He was a big genius, an outstanding genius. And he didn't demand any recognition of his genius or whatever.
He just knew he was right.
No, but also, that's also one thing. Also, he was open to others. But also, it was because of psak halachas, to make laws. That's the idea, to draw on laws so that he would be, his opinion would be respected. So people had to know, his greatness. And there were a lot of people that disagreed with him in the laws also. A lot of people that disagreed with it. That's the way laws is. The whole Talmud is filled. Right? Abaya and Rabbah and Hillel and Shammai, they disagreed with him. It didn't take it away from their greatness, and they didn't become egotists because of it. So says the Rebbe, the way that we, us simple people, can learn Torah and not get any egotism from it, right? We're not the level of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. Simple people, how do we do? It says to deal with simple things. Kadavar, like the previous Rebbe said, "Hapeshitos shel anashim pshutim miskashered and pshitos ha'atzmos." The simplicity of simple people is attached to the simplicity of the essence of God. Kach gam binyanenu, also to us, pshitos avoda binyanim pshutim. If we deal with simple things, this can attach us to the essence of God. That's the idea of Kabbalat oil, accepting the yoke. You want to go? It's getting late.
No, I'll take a couple minutes. Let's finish this.
That because of it, the Jewish people are called the armies of God. Tziva'os Hashem. Why are the Jews called the armies of Shem? Ki inyan shel chayil, because a soldier, his main thing is not that he's talented and not that he knows. The main thing of a soldier is he takes orders. Kabbalat ol. He's willing to do what he's told. Zeh pirush of Vayishev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv. That's what it means that Yaakov lived in the lands of his fathers. What do you mean? In order to megurei. He lived in the land, physical things he did with simple physical things. Megurei, because of that he gathered together all these sparks, aviv, to his Father in heaven. Kadesha Aram Yagia Aviv. In order for a person to reach and get to the level of his Father, namely what? That all of his service of God should only be to his Father in heaven. Harizeh rak be'emsaot eretz megurei. And the only way you can really reach the essence of God is by dealing with simple things. Avoda pshuta, with a simple attitude. Below hitchachmiot, without too much, and you say tricks. Fa'az ne'lamot apiniot, then all of your ulterior motives will be, dissipated, they'll go away. Then he will attach himself to his Father in heaven. And that's what we're teaching here from Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov worked in birurim, refining the world. Yaakov went to this terrible place called Haran, and he worked over there in sheep. The sheep of who? The sheep of the most disgusting, dishonest person in the world, Lavan. The Amal Kashod, and he worked out. You can imagine taking some big Rosh Yeshiva for some place and say, be a shepherd, go and work with sheep in the fields. The guy'd go crazy. He did Amal Kashod. He worked hard. Ba'amur, like it says, B'yom ha'chalani chera b'kerach b'layla b'tered shenatayim mi'enai. Says that in the daytime it was blazing hot, and the nighttime I was freezing cold. I didn't go to sleep. I was watching, protecting the sheep. The nosef li'agi, in addition to this, also he had, in working hard, he also, his body suffered. From this, the Alter Rebbe says, She'af ki ein la'adam shum zechut al gufo lakoto lanoto. The Alter Rebbe in his Shulchan Aruch, the law book, he says, a person has not got any right to deform or to blemish his own body, because your body is not your possession. Unlike what the liberals think in America, your body is not your possession. Your body is the possession of God. You cannot do with your body what you want to. You want to do all sorts of piercings and this, do this. Good, okay, you want to, you can want whatever you want to, but don't do it. Because your body is not yours. You cannot bring undue pain and suffering and blemishes to your body. The body doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God. But if it's necessary, in other words, in order to make money, which means spiritually serving God in birurim, you can do it. You can not sleep, and etc. For the service of God, you can do it. Even though that Yaakov could have said, why do I have to go to Haran? True that Yaakov and Esav, they couldn't live together. Okay, but why do I have to run to such a terrible place? It should have been that Esav, he went to Haran, and Yaakov could have stayed in Beersheba, in a Beis Midrash of Shem Be'aver. He could have stayed where he was. Right? His mother could have hid him away in a chest or something and say he took a trip to Russia. We don't know where he went. And Esav, do a favor for your mother and father. You go to Haran. Haran was, Lavan was also, they were twin brothers. So Lavan was the uncle of Esav also. Although Yaakov lo heksha kushos. Yaakov, when his mother told him to go, he didn't ask any questions. Halach, he went and he did his work. Namely, because he knew that had to be purifying the world. in a way of Kabbalat all, in a way of accepting upon himself his obligation, his yoke, to do what God wants. And his mother knew what it was. Therefore, when she sent him, he went without asking questions. Even though that he was doing it, just accepting upon himself the yoke of his mother. He's doing a thing that he didn't personally want to do. There was a million reasons for him not to do it. To go down into Haran and to work day and night and love, and he knew it was going to trick him, but he did it b'simcha. Komer, Vayisa Yaakov Raglov. It says that Yaakov lifted up his legs. He was happy to go to serve God. He was happy. Even though it meant that he wouldn't be sleeping in the nighttime, it would be cold, it would be hot. Al Yedei Kach, by means of this, Lo Zu Bilavad Shelo Yatazos Yerida, it was not a descent for him, that he went, he was such a high holy person, he had to go to this terrible place, Haran, and work for this terrible person, and he had to work just for sheep, but it was not a descent for him. Exactly the opposite. It says by Yaakov, because of this work, his bed was whole. Im kol inyanim shalakach misham, he was a wholesome person. And this is what's understood from Eretz Canaan. Canaan means a businessman. That a businessman invests, Yaakov invested his time, his energy, and all the profit that he made, the refining of these sparks, which next time we'll talk about what these sparks are. I think we talked about it before. By Lavan and Esav, so much that it says he drew down this level of the makif, that Esav, which he, and Esav finally came, and it said he kissed him with all of his heart. When he finally did meet up with Esav, right, it was almost 30 years later, 34 years later. They embraced, he kissed him. L'kanaan Muvan Nosab. Okay, amazing, he kissed him. That was the tremendous profit he made. That Esav actually changed his personality. Instead of being a murderer and a liar and a rapist and a thief, like all the things that it says, all of a sudden Esav realized, wow, Yaakov, you're right. And he kissed him. He wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill him already for a long time. He wanted to kill him, 30-something years. The Canaan, there's another meaning. A Canaan is mischar b'gashmius. Sheken it asher b'ashirut. Not only spiritually did he make a big profit, but also physically. He also became physically very rich. Yaakov went away and he had a lot of sheep and donkeys and etc. And this is the teaching that we have, that by means of Yeshiva Yaakov and Migurei Aviv, Eretz Canaan, that by means of living in the physical world, gathering together the sparks of godliness for your Father in heaven, by means of this you get to Eretz Canaan. You become a businessman and you make a profit spiritually and physically. Give it over to God. The success is in His hands, that physically and spiritually. Until we can afterwards come to Adasher Abu al Adanish Zira, all of the work of the Birurim, in this way that we have, we said of Kabbalat all, and we do it with an excitement, this reaches to the essence of the soul. And this is what will bring to the coming of the Mashiach. Prati Etzlo, first of all, the Mashiach personally in himself will reveal this level of Yechida, of the soul that we're talking about in the morning class. And also, the Alu Moshim B'Hartzion Lishporei Saisav, and there'll also be the Mashiach in a general way that all of the Jews will realize, wake up to who they are. The third temple will be built by God in Jerusalem, and everyone will all be happy dancing around and learning Chassidut in Ohr Tmimim.
I thought, Kfar Chabad.